Hello and thank you for joining us on the final edition of National Focus for the year 2014. I'm Kimani Saint-Jean. Coming up, 3 new permanent secretaries in the public service and constituency empowerment to get a boost in the new year. Stay tuned for details of these and other stories after this.
If you can believe this,
come by my house and let me show you some movies.
why can't you believe this? Some mothers don't believe their own children when they say they've been sexually abused, and they don't report it. Remember, if anyone asks to see or touch their private parts, touches them inappropriately, shows them or forces them to touch one's private parts, has sex with them, shows them pornographic material, or deliberately lets them hear or see the act of sex, then it is sexual abuse. Believe your child and report the sexual abuse. For more information about child abuse, contact these agencies. This message brought to you by UNICEF and this station.
Thank you for staying with us. 3 new permanent secretaries have been appointed in the public service. GIS News spoke with Acting Prime Minister Honorable Justina Charles on the matter. The new permanent secretaries will be responsible for the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Constituency Empowerment, Ministry of Public Works and Ports, and the Ministry of Social Services, as well as Kalinago Affairs.
Ms. Mandra Fagan is now the permanent secretary in the ministry that I am responsible for, which is Youth, Sports, Culture and Constituency Empowerment. It has been not totally new for her because she's been in the public service, but new to the ministry, to man the ministry. And so during the Christmas season, we really have not had a break from general elections since she was given the new portfolio, new responsibility. We've been working very closely, meeting the heads of our various departments so that she can get a clear understanding of what the various departments is responsible for and the duties and all the strengths, the challenges, and how we can chart the way forward. And we do have quite a bit of work in the ministry to be done because we have some of the capital projects and the budget that have not started, and so we're definitely going to work feverishly in the first 3 months to ensure that we can attack most of them. We can begin to implement most of them, and if not all. Definitely we have plans, as was outlined in the manifesto, for the development of the indoor sports facility, and also there was budgetary allocation. So we will be beginning the process. In fact, we've started the process and we've continued the consultation with the firm that is responsible for the construction of so we are now looking at the designs and giving our feedback on the designs so that we can have a final design so that we can begin the work on the new indoor sports facility.
Ms. Sylvanie Burton is now responsible for 2 ministries.
The other permanent secretary is Ms. Sylvanie Burton, who is responsible for social services and Kalinago affairs. So she is taking care of 2 ministers, social services, which is Miss Catherine Daniel, and Kalinago, Mr. Cassius Darrow. Mr. Candell Johnson, he was acting during the time that Mr. Blackmore was on vacation, is now the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Public Works.
The portfolio of constituency empowerment is to receive a boost in the upcoming year. That portfolio is now the responsibility of Honorable Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture and Constituency Empowerment, Honorable Justina Charles. The minister says constituency empowerment is an area which needs to be efficient and effective to meet the needs of the people.
Constituency empowerment really looks at mobilization and organization of the 21 constituencies, and I have started discussion with the government parliamentary representative, and I am hoping as soon as the opposition parliamentary representative have sworn in that we will come in, discuss so that we can begin to standardize the operations of the constituency offices, and we can chart the course forward as to how we can run the 21 constituencies effectively and efficiently. There is quite a bit of work to be done in the constituencies, and basically most of the works are done under various various ministries, but as Constituency Empowerment, there are some areas where we do some projects and we do the management of the 21 offices across Dominica. And the offices are for both government parliamentary representative as well as opposition parliamentary representative. So we're expecting as soon as they've sworn in, they will come and present whether they've gotten an office, and also the allocation, the monthly allocation will be given so that they can begin to man the offices, have a secretary in the office.
A report published by the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, warns that climate change impacts in the region are already significant and will likely become more intense in the future. The report, titled "The Economics of Climate Change in Latin America and the Caribbean: Paradoxes and Challenges of Sustainable Development," was presented during the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Lima, Peru, earlier this month. The ECLAC report describes observed effects in agricultural activity, water availability, forests and biodiversity, sea levels, tourism and health. It calls for immediate action that addresses both mitigation and adaptation. Earlier this year, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Department of Meteorological Services and with the financial and technical assistance from the World Meteorological Organization, organized a national consultation. This consultation was to discuss the benefits of the Global Framework for Climate Change Service, GFCS, to various sectors and identify needs for the utilization of climate information in decision-making. The ECLAC study explains that the Caribbean sub-region is particularly exposed to combined phenomena such as rising sea levels coupled with extreme climate events such as drought, flooding, hurricanes and storms. It notes that according to some climate scenarios, the entire coral ecosystem might collapse by 2050, and some agricultural producers might switch from corn, wheat and potatoes to fruits and vegetables to rely more on irrigation, while agricultural lands might be converted into livestock ranches or mixed farms. The Ministry of Culture is looking at ways to inject more funds into the Department of Culture. The Minister responsible for Culture, Honorable Justina Charles, says culture needs to be preserved and therefore needs more attention to be able to survive and thrive.
We've had meetings with the Department of Culture, and I have articulated on the Permanent Secretary some of the things that we would want to see in the Department of Culture. We realize that this is something that we really have to preserve, and we need to inject a little more resources into the department. It is growing, but the demand for assistance, financial and otherwise, is increasing, and so we have to look at how we can make the department sustainable, how it can manage itself efficiently and the resources, but at the same time we have to look at how we can inject some more funds into that department because of the demands.
A recent International Labour Organization (ILO) study shows that lack of post-secondary education in lower and middle-income economies leaves the majority of youth unemployed or stuck in informal employment. Informal employment is work in the part of the economy that is not taxed, monitored by any form of government, or included in any gross national product. Conducted in 28 countries worldwide in 2012 to 2013, the study highlights that having the highest level of education serves as a fairly dependable guarantee towards securing a formal job. As such, the Dominica Labour Party administration has invested heavily in education over the years. Strides have been made in achieving universal education at all levels, namely early childhood, primary and secondary education. The study further detailed that while completing secondary education does not totally ensure non-vulnerable employment in lower and middle-income countries, on average, 83% of young people with post-secondary education in low-income countries and 75% in middle-income countries were able to find formal jobs. The author of the study warns that increasing the level of education of the emerging workforce in developing countries will not in itself ensure the absorption of higher skilled workers in non-vulnerable jobs. However, continuing to push for undereducated, unskilled young people in the job market is not the solution either. This ties in with government's move to train hundreds of young persons in landscaping, culinary arts, stone cutting, and manicure and pedicure, to name a few modules under its apprenticeship program. And with the December 2013 launch of the National Employment Program, hundreds of young persons receive on-the-job training while they earn. The lack of education feeds the perpetuation of poverty across generations, as unskilled workers earn lower wages and are unable to fund the schooling of their own children. The report confirms the role of education in shaping labor market outcomes of young people. It also highlights the needs for more investments in quality education from primary through academic levels, said Azitza Berar Awad, Director of the Employment Policy Department of the ILO. With the state-of-the-art Dominica State College, the majority of youth on the island now have access to post-secondary education. And since 2005, the Dominica Labour Party administration have also pledged to have at least one university graduate in every household by the year 2015. It's the final day of the year, and the Government Information Service is pleased that Dominicans and the rest of the world were kept abreast of the important government stories throughout the year. Senior Information Officer at GIS, Mervyn Paul, speaks about the highlights of 2014.
One of the highlights of GIS's programming for 2014, I must say, was the fact that we did a lot more documentary-style programs. For many years back, we embarked on news, the production of a news package, and doing a lot of interviews. But if one looks back on 2014, you will see that we did a lot of documentary-style programs where we sought to embark on investigating the work of government in the various communities, constituencies, and looking at various projects. And also, I think we work very closely with a number of government and non-government agencies seeking to highlight their work. We are fully part of the NEP, and so we had a number of interns attached to GIS, some of who were from the Dominica State College and some of who got employed fully as part of GIS staff. So our staff expanded to a certain extent. Another major highlight of the Government Information Service was the fact that we were able to increase and improve on our YouTube and Facebook pages. So we provided a lot more information to people living outside of Dominica.
GIS also brought on stream a new radio program in 2014, Eye on Development. Looking forward to the coming year, 2015, viewers can also expect new things from GIS.
We want to embark on print. Doing a print. That is a mandate, part of our mandate that we have not been able to fulfill, partly because of the staffing constraints. But if we're looking at tweaking it a little bit, as well as going live streaming, I think that is a major thing, and that is going to be one of my major drives in 2015.
Paul is also hopeful that the role GIS plays as a major contributor to the economic growth and development of the country in terms of dissemination of information will be recognized. He says it's all because of the hard work and dedication of staff. The Senior Information Officer had these words of gratitude to his staff at the end of the year.
I don't think that in the public service you can find a bunch of more committed staff. So very often while people are in their beds, staff is out there covering functions during storms, hurricanes, bad weather. They're out there working, and they sit back in their living rooms and they see the news and programs come, and nobody understands, or very few people understand what it takes, you know. And these are cameramen and reporters and editors who work, you know, under very strenuous conditions, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank them for their support over the last year, and I look forward to working with them rather closely and even closer, and to recommit GIS to its continued mandate of managing government's corporate image and disseminating factual and reliable information to the general public.
You can also look forward to GIS Year in Review beginning January 1, 2015.
We're hoping that people will join us on the evening of January 1st from 8 p.m. when we will be showing the Year in Review 2014 for the first time, but look out throughout the month of January and beyond for the Year in Review for those people who may have missed certain very important stories or happenings in Dominica.
And before we go, here are a few announcements. A vacancy exists for one consultant accountant within the Office of the Director of Audit. As part of the EU-funded Public Financial Management Reform Program, an accountant will provide technical assistance over a period of 6 months. The successful candidate will be expected to train officers on how to perform the following tasks in a proactive manner. Under the supervision of the Director of Audit, develop, monitor, and review departmental accounting policies, procedures, and processes, audit and prepare financial statements in accordance with relevant guidelines, frameworks, and statutory requirements, conduct performance reviews of government ongoing programs, and conduct performance reviews of statutory corporations and government-owned companies. The ideal candidate should possess at least a first degree in accounting or other related field, at least professional qualifications in accounting from a recognized accounting body, that is ACCA, CGA, or similar, general professional experience, knowledge of principles and procedures for compensation and benefits, knowledge of laws, legal codes, government regulations, and executive orders, knowledge of business and management principles, knowledge of economic and accounting principles and practices, and the analysis and reporting of financial data, specific professional experience, at least 5 years professional experience in accounting, knowledge of commonly used concepts, practices, and procedures within the field of business administration. Applications, including curriculum vitae, should be submitted no later than Wednesday, 31st December 2014 at 12 p.m. to the National Authorization Officer for the European Development Fund, Office of the NAO, EDF, 3rd floor, Financial Center, Kennedy Avenue, P.O. Box 1102, Roseau, Dominica, or email to edf@cwdom.dm. The government of the Commonwealth of Dominica has received financing from the Global Environment Facility through the United Nations Environment Program to support the preparation of Dominica's 3rd National Communications to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. Part of this funding is to be utilized to hire national consultants to undertake technical studies and draft the national report. The government of Dominica is seeking expressions of interest from suitable qualified national consultants who have at least 5 years experience in the following areas: greenhouse gas inventory from energy transportation, solid waste and industrial processes, inventory of carbon sinks, forests, inventory of carbon sinks, agriculture, climate change mitigation including renewable energy, energy efficiency and energy conservation, mainstreaming climate change into national development planning, training, public education outreach on climate change, and systematic observation systems for climate change, including hydrometeorological systems. Work on this program will commence in January 2015 and will be completed by May 2016. Successful applicants will be expected to start work on or before February 2nd, 2015. Any persons interested in being considered for any of the above positions are requested to submit their current curriculum vitae and letter of interest to the following: Director, Environmental Coordinating Unit, Roseau Fisheries Complex, Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard, Roseau, Commonwealth of Dominica. Telephone 266-5256 or telephone or fax 448-4577. Email ecu@dominica.gov.dm. Submissions can be made electronically or in writing to the above address and must be received no later than Wednesday, January 7th, 2015 at 4 p.m. Expressions of interest received after this date will not be considered. Private candidates registered to write the January 2015 CXC examinations are asked to collect their timetables from the local registrar's office during normal office hours. Please be guided accordingly. And that's the news coming up. Plan to save money in 2015.
Dominica is blessed with an abundance of water, but getting it to your home is an expensive venture. You have a responsibility to conserve water, to use it wisely. Remember the old adage, you never miss the water till the well runs dry. Think water, think life.
The black Sikatuka fungus can survive on banana and plantain leaves even after they have been cut from the tree. Farmers and hucksters are encouraged to use alternate cushioning material when moving produce from farm to the market. Do not use banana and plantain leaves as cushioning. It is against the law to move banana and plantain trash from the field. Obey the law and stop the spread of black Sikatuka today.
There's no time like the present to lay out a plan for saving more and spending less. Start by taking stock of the last year and make a list of your financial shortcomings. Next, get started on establishing an emergency fund of at least $2,500. Then, plan to not increase your credit in 2015. In order to save money in 2015, plan to live below your means. If you do it consistently throughout the year, you're automatically saving consistently. Aim to save at least 10% of what you earn after taxes, or 15% if you're over 35 and haven't started yet. If you can't save 10%, start by saving something and watch that stash start to grow. No matter how small the amount is, the important thing is to start. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow us on Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I'm Kimani wishing you a bright and productive new year. Thank you for watching.